Thank you for joining us for this last segment of our Coffee with the Community series. We want to thank our communications department and the team that puts this together over the course of the school year. We appreciate all of those that shared and provided information regarding the district. As we wrap up this school year, we want to wrap up with one final presentation. Here we go. We want to begin by thanking our Board of Education for their leadership, their service to all of our students, staff, families, and entire Liberty Public Schools community. Our board members include Ms. Angie Reed, President, Ms. Karen Rogers, Vice President, and board members Mr. Nick Bartlow, Mr. A.J. Bird, Mr. Drew Marriott, Mr. Dan Currents, and Ms. Jen Bauer. I love this imagery that represents our community and our Liberty Public Schools footprint, whether it's that small town feel represented in the Liberty Square, or industry that exists in our backyard that we oftentimes drive by that people aren't even aware of, and partners, whether it's the banking industry, the medical field, higher education, and others who partner with us in providing opportunities for our nearly 12,500 students across Liberty Public Schools. I would put our students and their talents up against anyone, whether it's on the stage or on the field, whether it's the performing arts or through athletics, and a variety of clubs and opportunities that our students are allowed to participate in each year. We have phenomenal students, and the talents that they display both on and off the field are to be commended. We also appreciate our higher education partners. One example is William Jewell College, just up on the hill, but then everything else that the Kansas City metropolitan area has to offer. Our nearly 12,141 students in grades K through 12, coupled with about 250 students across our pre-K programs. Liberty Public Schools makes up a pretty sizable footprint of about 85 square miles within our district boundary. From a transportation standpoint, that results in daily routes that are traveled, students that are transported daily, and over the course of a year, significant mileage that is accumulated in service to all of our students. You can see through our boundaries and our footprint, we have our early childhood center. We serve 11 elementary schools, 4 middle schools, 2 high schools, and 1 alternative school in Liberty Academy. An interesting fact to point out is where our students come from, whether it's Kansas City, Liberty, Kearney addresses, Glen Eyre, and then a small portion that come from other areas across our area. Our student demographics continues to evolve year upon year. You can see our breakdown by ethnicity, in addition to the total number of lunches that we serve annually, broken down by day, but then our free and reduced lunch student population and our free and reduced lunch student population by percentage. One of my very favorite statistics is the one that's listed at the bottom, and that is the fact that there are nearly 60 different languages represented in Liberty Public Schools. Just a few days ago, we celebrated our secondary and elementary Seal of Biliteracy recipients at the secondary level, but then also those at the elementary level that are involved in our Pathways program, whether they're learning a foreign language for the first time or perhaps just kind of strengthening their heritage language. We appreciate the opportunities that our students are afforded across our schools. We also want to draw attention to our graduates. Here in just a couple of weeks, we'll be celebrating graduation for Liberty High School Blue Jays as well as Liberty North High School Eagles. In total, we have around about 93% of our students that successfully graduate. We do have a percentage of those that go on beyond their cohort for a few more years with us that require special education services, and so that percentage goes up a little bit over the course of a 5-year span as far as those that were with their cohort. Of our graduates, something to make note of, about 69% of our graduates go on to attend a 2 to 4 year college, whether it's locally, across the region in Missouri, or several of our students that graduate to go on to colleges across our country. Other information to share as it relates to our district employees and our district staff. In total, we have over 2,000 staff members that are comprised of about 978 certificated or certified teachers, counselors, and the like. We also have close to 1,000, about 936, that are classified or also referred to as support staff that come to us in the areas or departments of transportation, our nutrition services, and other departments that we have across our system. We appreciate continued learning as adults, and so 83% of our teachers have either 6 years of experience or more. 86% of our teachers hold a master's degree or higher. So we feel as though we're fortunate to have high quality staff serving our elementary, middle, high school, and early learners. On average, our teacher salary across our district is around $61,000. I mentioned that and that's notable because we do have a significant push in Missouri to be able to continue to increase and compete as is compared to other states as it relates to teacher salaries. So we're continuing to take strides both locally, regionally, but then also at the state level to ensure that we move the needle as it relates to teacher salaries. From a budget standpoint, we appreciate our business services team that is led by our CFO, Ms. Cindy Sullivan. Overall, our annual budget is $264 million. $185 million of that is tied up in operating. You'll note the revenue sources of which our funds come to us from include local, state, and federal, and the breakdown of the percentages accordingly. Our average annual cost per student is right over $13,000, which puts us at about the middle of the pack as it relates to school districts in the state of Missouri. Some are considerably higher, others are quite a bit less, but we feel fortunate that we are so supported by our community in service to our learners. One of the highlights to mention, and we've shared this before in other settings in a previous Coffee with the Community, are all of the real-world learning experiences that our students can link up with, both through elementary, middle, but then certainly that culminate in high school with a little bit more formal programming. And so you see some of those formal programs that are listed here, from our Network 53 program that provides internship opportunities for students to the work we're doing with Metropolitan Community College, specifically with our early college program. And then lastly on that side, the Career Center offerings that are provided to us both from the Excelsior Springs Area Career Center as well as the Northland Career Center. In addition to that, we've partnered recently with William Jewell College and Liberty Hospital for our Collegiate Nursing Academy, in which students can begin their path to becoming involved in the medical profession, in the medical field. And so we appreciate that partnership there. Across all of our campuses, we offer Project Lead the Way, whether it's courses in high school or access to programming at the middle level or the launch program at the elementary school level. We have long had a partnership with Project Lead the Way in supporting our elementary, middle, and high school learners in their desire to learn more and grow in the field of STEM-related areas. You may be familiar as well with Northland CAPS. That program has been around now for about 12 years, in which students can gain early access to the world of work. And so we continue to encourage students to participate in that program as it's been around for some time, but then also exploring ways that we can integrate that into our middle level through summer programming and other programs that are offered over the course of the year. I want to shift ever so slightly from district-related data to some of our guiding documents. And these have been in place now for nearly 5 years, beginning with our strategic planning process as we embarked to create a strategic plan that was a little bit more agile and a little bit more flexible. We heard back then from our community in a desire to ensure that we're covering both bases, both the academic side, but then also the work-related skills or durable skills that are needed for success across all industries, but then also for students to be successful while they're in school, but then also as they leave us upon graduation. Those skills incorporated are both academic, cultural, personal, professional, and entrepreneurial. And so we've spent quite a bit of time defining each of those categories, but then also identifying what are those skills that are needed within each area for our learners to begin learning as early education, but then as they walk through that pre-K through grade 12 continuum, they continue to build upon, that then they can showcase their work. They can provide artifacts or portfolio documentation that shows that they are in fact growing in both that academic area, that cultural area, personal, professional, and entrepreneurial categories. Couple that with our vivid vision, as you see on the right, in which that details a story or a narrative of what it will look like to live, to learn, and to work across Liberty Public Schools as students and staff and our administration accomplish the goals that we set out to accomplish within our vivid vision or within our strategic plan. We're at a critical juncture this semester of revisiting our strategic plan and graduate profile. And over the course of the last several months, our community has engaged with us on a variety of ways in an effort to refresh and solicit feedback and input from all of our stakeholders in refreshing our strategic plan. As a reminder, the areas that are contained within our strategic plan come in 5 categories. And then within each of those categories, we have the plans in terms of actionable steps that we'll take in an effort to respond to what we hear from our community. Those categories include learning, teaching, leadership, personal growth, as well as community. Over the course of these last few weeks, we've had nearly 3,000 individuals participate in our online community survey. That has come in a variety of ways and in a variety of groups. Stakeholders have included 420 staff in terms of staff that have a student in LPS, 667 employees that do not have a student. Nearly 1,100 parents and guardians have responded to our community survey. Community members and students were most excited about. Just over 700 students responded as well to our online community survey. Additionally, a variety of focus groups and interviews were held with over 150 participants over the last couple of months. A number of students, staff members, community members appreciate each of our Board of Education members taking the time to spend one-on-one with G&D and associates to be able to share their thoughts, reflections, and future ideas as it relates to the coming school years. We were also able to bring our consultants on site with us to be able to do a variety of site visits to connect with students and teachers inside the classroom, but then also through a series of focus groups and interviews to be able to provide additional feedback in support of the survey data we were receiving as we look to refresh our strategic plan. Some of the themes that are captured are contained within a synthesis that we have seen from parents and guardians to our employees to community members, but then also our students. We'll look forward to sharing that information out in the near future. In the meantime, we're working with our Board of Education, our strategic leadership team, and our district leadership team in culling through all of the feedback that we've received to date. Additionally, as we think about the conclusion of this semester, we'll be working on a refreshed Vivid Vision. We'll also be working on looking at the data and feedback that we received. And come May, we'll be entering into a workshop period with our strategic leadership team to be able to develop action plans as far as the roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years. And then soliciting one last round of engagement with our community and celebrating our Vivid Vision refresh, but then also soliciting feedback from you all. Once we get to August 2024, then our strategic plan will be considered implemented in terms of board consideration and approval, and that's when the work begins as we begin the 24-25 school year. So again, we thank everyone for engaging in this effort over the course of the last couple of months. We look forward to finalizing this project and sharing our results with our community in support of all of our learners. I want to shift again to another subject that is top of mind, perhaps as you've driven around and seen some of the construction projects going on across our district. It was about a year ago in which we approached our voters to consider a $120 million no tax increase bond issue, as well as a no tax increase debt service levy transfer. And we want to again express our appreciation for our community in turning out to vote and supporting these 2 initiatives. Fast forward nearly a year later, and the work is busy as we think about all the projects that are going on across our district in support of our schools and in support of our learners. This is what it looks like as far as the overall project plan, and not to dive into too much of the small detail other than to show you that this is really about 4 years worth of work from the time we began right after Election Day to the time we conclude that final project. We anticipate it spanning a period of about 4 years. And my disclaimer is always this, weather permitting. And so we've been fortunate this winter and into this spring to benefit from some pretty good weather that has allowed us to be able to pull off and complete some projects already. As we think about the work, this is about where we stand. currently in terms of our bond project timeline. And you can follow our efforts on our district's webpage and our Board of Education monthly meeting reports as we share information out in regard to our progress and keeping our community informed. Specifically, wanted to draw your attention to some of the projects that we've completed. If you've been by Liberty High School of late, and in fact, the boys' tennis season is currently going on, we completed and are now utilizing 8 competitive courts at Liberty High School. And so we appreciate that work being done earlier than expected in terms of readying for this particular winter, but then also the spring season as it relates to those court improvements. You can see some aerial views next to the activities complex, and then of course adjacent to the baseball and softball complexes here at Liberty High School. So our students are certainly benefiting from that. In addition, students from Epic Elementary are able to cross the street and utilize this space as well, along with utilization of our high school PE classes with the proximity of those courts on campus. At both Liberty High School and Liberty North High School, we're in the process of completing a project to upgrade our baseball and softball fields. And so you can see that our boys season has been able to leverage those sites both at Liberty High and Liberty North as baseball seasons have begun. As soon as those fields were completed, then we shifted over to softball. And we anticipate those fields being done by the conclusion of this school year, certainly well ahead of schedule and being ready for the fall softball season as our ladies take the field. So you have renderings of Liberty High School baseball and softball, some of the finished work on the left, but then also some of the construction happening at our softball field, but then also our auxiliary field at Liberty High School. Similarly, over on the north side with the Eagles, completion of their project as far as the baseball field, but then also shifting over to the work to be done with our softball field and readying for their season. Not too far from us here at the District Administration Center, Epic Elementary has been looking at an addition, as we've shared in the past, about an 8,000 square foot addition of a gym and performance space, new art classroom, as well as storm shelter. The dirt is being turned there and has been for a couple of months now. And so we anticipate that particular project being concluded by summer of next year, summer of 2025. The footprint or schematic and rendering looks a bit like this as that space takes shape. You'll recall that when Epic Elementary opened their doors, these areas were not included in the design of that campus, but instead they leveraged their multi-purpose space for both breakfast and lunch and before and after school care programs, but then also art, music, and PE. So this renovation or addition at Epic Elementary is a much needed space for their use throughout the course of the day. Some of the pictures from our recent work, in fact, that continues as you drive by and see the progress. Again, that progress will be shared on our district's webpage. Over at Discovery Middle School and South Valley Middle School, 2 twin projects that we have going on is the addition of a gym and performance space that also services as a storm shelter. And while we looked at the idea of creating one space for both campuses to utilize, the logistics and elevations were not in our favor, causing us to be able to create 2 different buildings, one at Discovery and one at South Valley Middle School, that really mirror one another. So the rendering of that space incorporates additional gym space, but then also stage. You can see some added restrooms there and support units as far as storage and AV electrical. But again, that is mirrored both at Discovery Middle School, but then also at South Valley Middle School. And so we look forward to opening those spaces again, looking out a summer from this summer, so summer of 2025, in hopes of leveraging that for the 25-26 school year for our students and our staff and community to be able to access. Similar footprint, just kind of slightly modified as it relates to orientation. But again, both our Eagles and Blue Jays will benefit from that at the middle level. Over the course of the last several years, we've also seen an increased need in support of all of our buildings and campuses for a revised or refreshed distribution center. And so over off of 291, next to our support or our facilities area, adding a distribution center that's to the tune of about 29,000 square feet that will serve as a storage warehouse, large storage freezer, and then provide some additional office space. Construction is already underway, in which we anticipate those projects being completed for the new distribution center by the spring of 2025. You can see the rendering as it relates to the footprint. That will offer up additional opportunity for us in service to our buildings. Our current distribution center will be slightly renovated to be able to make space there for other departments to be able to utilize as well. Some examples of the work happening on that location are provided. Just earlier last week, we have begun the process of putting in the footers in support of that new space, as well as curbing some of our driveway areas. But again, all of the weather that we've had recently certainly impacts the work that we're able to do, whether it's nice and rainy or whether it's bright and shiny, that we can begin doing that work over at the distribution center. You may recall that we also purchased a few years ago the old Liberty branch of the Mid-Continent Public Library. And so through our bond issue and our projects, we are able to revamp that location into a district technology center that'll house a few departments. It'll include technology, which is currently located at the district administration center on the second floor. It'll also house our Kids Zone program, but then it'll also take on our fine arts department. And so we're in the process of renovating the exterior envelope, but then also the interior, as you can see reflected on the schematic to the right. This is intended to be completed this summer, and so then we'll, as soon as it's completed, begin the process of moving those departments over into that space. The areas that are then vacated, whether it's at the District Administration Center or the Support Services Building, will be reviewed and renovated as well to be able to make space for other programs. And so we look forward to the completion of that later this summer. Some of the renderings from the interior, in fact, are probably outdated by now because they are continuing to do work there on the inside, of which weather isn't necessarily a factor. Once we've got things enclosed, we're able to work more quickly in terms of finishing up this particular project. Heritage Middle School celebrated just a couple weekends ago their 100-year anniversary, and so we were there taking tours and walking through with students and noticing the various mazes that exist in that building as things have been added onto it over the course of the last 100 years. So we have a significant renovation project going on there in which we'll work on collaborative spaces, focus on our special education programming in those departments, our cafeteria and the kitchen area, or scramble as we like to refer to it as. Some pretty outdated restrooms and renovations that are necessary, but then also from the exterior standpoint, ensuring that we're focusing on masonry needs, window replacements, and then ensuring that we have the best possible elevator system that we can incorporate into that space. So we're excited, as you can see by the renderings. It's quite a bit of an upgrade over at Heritage Middle School. The layout of the areas that we'll be focusing on are provided. In addition, at Liberty High School, we're looking at renovations to our Family and Consumer Sciences project, our department, our special education department, as well as our art program, focusing on our kitchen and our scramble areas, looking at LED lighting replacements, not only at Liberty High School, but across the entire system. That results in a couple of pieces, certainly energy savings, but then also utility cost savings that then we can fold back into our general budget. Completion of that project it's slated to be around fall of 2025, and so we look forward to those improvements at Liberty High School as well. Some renderings of what that work will look like in various spaces, whether it's our kitchen area or cafeteria area that connects our front entrance all the way back to our Performing Arts Center. Needs a significant upgrade, but we appreciate working with Newkirk and Novak and Hollis and Miller in getting this project off and running as we continue to design, but then also continue to do the work. Liberty Academy, as you'll recall, the district purchased a strip center a few years ago, the Blackberry Complex as it was commonly referred to. And one of the things that we've noticed over the last few years is that they need significant space to be able to focus on do-it-yourself projects. as it relates to project-based learning and the Unschool Challenge, as they commonly refer to it as. Business and community partners come onto site to work with students on a variety of projects. And so we anticipate that construction really kicking off this spring, and that'll take about a year so that students can realize that new space in the spring of 2025. Adjacent to that project will also be some outdoor court space that our students can be able to benefit from there as well. That's the rendering of our court space at Liberty Academy in terms of being able to provide for both recreational space before or after school, but then also for PE credits that students need to be able to accumulate in terms of their graduation paths as well as their transcript. At the elementary level, Alexander Donovan Elementary is looking at some nurse room renovations, relocation, but then also renovations. And so then renovating teacher workrooms, special ed classrooms, the entry and administration space. If you'll go to other elementary schools, you'll notice that we've done that over the last several years, and we want to do that at Alexander Donovan as well. And so that summer work will begin this summer and then hopefully be completed over the course of the next several months into the spring of 2025. You'll know that some of our projects aren't always completed during the summer, but roll into the school year, of which we appreciate everyone's patience and flexibility, as we do have to shift some of our processes around, whether it's the start of the day or end of the day, or services provided to students and family in kind of alternative spaces until those projects are completed. Similarly, at Ridgeview Elementary, some improvements to our health services location, our administrative offices as it relates to a new entry process in terms of structure, LED lighting, HVAC replacement. That'll begin this summer, but then also conclude in spring of next year. Franklin Elementary as a repeat of similar projects as it relates to that. Another thing to make note of, as was mentioned on a couple of other slides, were the additions of lactation rooms, restroom improvements that we're trying to hit at multiple locations that have yet to be completed. Construction at Franklin beginning in the summer, but then likely to be able to complete hopefully pretty quickly as it relates to the start of the 24-25 school year. We appreciate you jumping on and tuning in for this Coffee with the Community, this final episode. We appreciate everyone's engagement over the course of this year, whether it's your questions or connecting with us through being volunteers or through our strategic planning process this year. We hope you all have a great summer. We look forward to the start of the 24-25 school year again in August.